Tonight, you're going to close your eyes, and then there's going to be a gap. You won't feel yourself fall asleep. Nobody ever does. 1 second, you're lying there thinking about tomorrow, and then you just weren't there. Hours passed, a whole night, and you have no memory of a single second of it. Then, just as quietly, you came back. So here's a question you have never once been able to answer. Where did you go? You do this every single night. Add it up, and you'll spend roughly a third of your entire life doing it. About 26 years gone. 26 years of your life, and you can't describe 1 second of it. Great job. We treat sleep like it's nothing, like a phone left on standby overnight. But that is completely, wildly wrong. Because when you sleep, your brain does not switch off. Not even close. It paralyzes your body on purpose. It runs a full hallucination every night and calls it dreaming. And it may spend the small hours physically washing itself out so that it doesn't slowly destroy itself. That last one, we only stumbled onto 13 years ago. And scientists are still fighting about whether it's even real. So this is the story of the strangest disappearance there is. The one that happens to you tonight and every night. And that we have been trying to solve for 100 years. 3 things, and I want you to hold on to all 3. 1. Tonight, you'll vanish for hours and you won't feel it happen. Where does the you go? 2. One teenager decided to find out what happens if you just never let yourself go under. He lasted 264 hours. What his mind did on day 11 tells us what sleep is actually for. And 3. The newest idea about why you do this at all is so strange that half the scientists in the room think it's wrong. By the end, you'll know exactly where you go. And why that answer is so much stranger than you're just resting. If a 100-year mystery about your own head sounds like your kind of thing, subscribe. I go looking for these so you don't have to lie awake wondering, which, ironically, you now will. Let's start with the vanishing itself, the moment you go under. You'd think falling asleep is like flipping a light switch. On, off, awake, gone. It is nothing like that. Your brain doesn't dim, it hands off. The parts that keep you alert quietly step back, and other, older parts take the wheel. The first stage is so light you'd swear you were still awake. This is the twilight zone, where your thoughts start to drift and go weird. A grocery list quietly becomes a talking fish, and you don't notice the moment it stops making sense. Then your brain starts firing little bursts of electrical activity called sleep spindles. Think of them as the brain locking the doors. They quiet the outside world, so a slammed car door won't wake you. And right here, right on the edge, a lot of you have felt something very strange. You're drifting off, and suddenly you feel yourself fall. Your whole body jerks. Your leg kicks out. You snap awake, heart pounding, absolutely certain you were just dropping. That is called a hypnic jerk, and between 60 and 70% of people get them. So why does it happen? Honestly, we're not fully sure. But the best guess is kind of beautiful. As you fall asleep, your muscles go limp, and one theory says a very old part of your brain misreads that sudden floppiness. It thinks, we're relaxing. Wait, we are falling out of a tree. So it fires an emergency signal. Grab something, and your body kicks, a reflex left over from millions of years of sleeping up in the branches. You don't live in a tree. Your brain never got the memo. Every night, it stands guard against a fall that cannot happen. And that's just the doorway. Because once you're actually under, your brain does something that should terrify you. It ties you down. Every night, on purpose, your brain paralyzes your entire body. When you enter dreaming sleep, a switch flips deep in your brainstem, and it shuts off your muscles, almost all of them. Your arms, your legs, they go completely offline. You are, for a few hours, genuinely paralyzed. And there's a very good reason for this. Your brain is about to spend the night generating a vivid, moving, sometimes terrifying dream. If your body could move while it dreamed, you would act every dream out. You'd run into walls. You'd throw punches at nothing. You would leap out of a window chasing something that isn't there. So the paralysis is protection. Your brain locks the body in a box, so the dream can't hurt you. Your brain paralyzes your whole body every night, on purpose, and mostly remembers to turn it back on in the morning. Mostly. Because sometimes the timing slips. Sometimes your mind wakes up before your body does. You are awake. You can see your room. And you cannot move a single muscle. You can't even shout. This is sleep paralysis. And if you've had it, you know it is one of the most frightening things a human body can do to you. It gets worse. Because part of your dreaming brain is still switched on. So people in sleep paralysis don't just lie there frozen. They hallucinate. And it is almost always the same hallucination. A presence in the room. A dark figure. Something heavy sitting on your chest, pressing down so you can't breathe. Now here's the part I love, because people have been describing this exact experience for a very, very long time. Long before anyone knew what a brainstem was. In Newfoundland, they called it the old hag, a witch who sits on your chest and can't be pushed off. In Japan, it's kanashibari, which means bound in metal. In old Europe, it was a demon, an incubus holding you down. Over 100 different cultures, all over the world, came up with a name for the same terrifying night. The costume changes, the monster changes, but underneath, it is always the same simple, real glitch. Your mind woke up, your body didn't, and the dream came with you. For centuries, people thought a demon had them. It was just the on switch running a few minutes late. So where does the you go while your body lies there tied down? To find out, we have to go into the dream. For most of human history, we assumed sleep was one long, flat, empty blank. You go under, nothing happens, you wake up, and then, in a basement lab in Chicago in 1953, a graduate student proved that was completely wrong. His name was Eugene Oserinsky. Oserinsky was broke, exhausted, and stuck with an old machine that scribbled brain and eye activity onto miles of rolling paper. For one of his first subjects, he wired up his own young son and let him fall asleep. And a few hours in, the pens went wild. The machine started scratching out fast, frantic activity, like the boy was wide awake and running around. Oserinsky's first thought was that the machine was broken. It wasn't. He walked over and he looked at the sleeping boy's eyes. Under the closed lids, the boy's eyes were darting back and forth, fast, left, right, up, down, chasing something. He had just discovered rapid eye movement sleep, REM, the stage where you dream. He and his professor, Nathaniel Kleitman, published it in a page and a half in the journal Science, and it cracked sleep wide open. Because here's the paradox they had found. When you dream, your body is dead still, paralyzed, corpse quiet, but your brain is not resting. During REM, your brain lights up almost as much as when you are wide awake. Take a breath and sit with that. Your body is switched off. Your brain is running at nearly full power, and it is building an entire world for you to walk around in. A world with people and places and rules and fear. And it feels completely real, right up until you wake. So why? Why does your brain go to all that trouble every night to make you a movie you'll mostly forget? And here's where I have to be honest with you. We don't fully agree. Some think dreaming is how you rehearse for danger, running threat drills in a safe simulator. Some think it's your brain filing away memories and feelings from the day. And some think dreams are just the leftover static of a busy brain and mean nothing at all. 100 years of study, and the truest answer is still, probably several of these, and we're not done arguing. Which brings us back to the missing piece. What is sleep actually for? To answer that, you'd have to take it away from someone. And in 1963, a 17-year-old volunteered. San Diego, the winter of 1963. A high school science fair. A 17-year-old named Randy Gardner wants to win. So he picks a project no sane adult would sign off on. He's going to stay awake for as long as humanly possible and record exactly what happens to his mind as it comes apart. His two friends agree to watch him in shifts and keep him from cheating a single minute of sleep. And a real Stanford sleep researcher, Dr. William Dement, hears about it and shows up to observe. The clock starts, and your body has never wanted anything the way it is about to want sleep. The first day is easy. Anyone can pull one all-nighter. By day 2, his eyes stop focusing properly. He can't watch television. His fingers lose their touch. By day 3, he's nauseous, moody, and clumsy. His body has moved from tired to sick. And then day 4. Day 4 is where his mind starts to lie to him. He looks at a street sign in the dark and he is completely certain it is a person standing there. And then, this is my favorite part, he becomes convinced that he is a famous football player. Not thinks about, is. When he does badly at a task, he blames it on the pressure of being a star. This is a completely normal thing your brain does when you refuse to let it file the day's paperwork. It starts making things up. Because here is what nobody had proven yet, and Gardner was proving it live. When you don't sleep, your brain starts trying to dream anyway. While you're awake, it cannot wait any longer, so it drags pieces of the dream world into the real one. That's what a hallucination is, a dream that couldn't wait its turn. By the final day, day 11, Randy Gardner is a strange, hollow version of himself. He speaks in a flat, slurred monotone. His face is expressionless. Ask him to count backwards from 100 by sevens, and he starts and then just stops. He's forgotten what he was doing. Mid-sentence, he is awake. His eyes are open, but the person is barely there. A waking mind, coming quietly apart at the seams, and then the clock hits it. 11 days, 264 hours, a world record. So what do you do after breaking your own brain for 11 days? Randy Gardner lay down, and he slept for 14 hours. And then he woke up, and he was more or less fine. 14 hours of sleep, and the delusions were gone. The football player was gone. He got most of his mind back in a single night, which is, if you think about it, its own quiet mystery. What could one night of sleep possibly be doing that undoes 11 days of damage that fast? To answer that, we finally have to ask the biggest question of all. Not where you go, but why your brain forces you to go there at all. What broke in Randy Gardner is the clue, because the things that fell apart in him tell us exactly what sleep was quietly doing all along. Start with memory. All day, your brain is scribbling notes. Everything you see, hear, and do lands in a temporary, messy inbox. You cannot keep it all there. The inbox is small, and it fills up fast. So at night, your sleeping brain does the filing. It replays the day, sometimes literally refiring the same patterns, and it moves the memories worth keeping into long-term storage. It decides what matters and what to let fade. This is why, when you're sleep deprived, you can't remember simple things and can't learn new ones. The inbox is jammed, and nobody came overnight to clear it. It's also why Gardner couldn't hold a thought long enough to count. His filing clerk had been on strike for 11 days. Then there's your emotions. Sleep is where your brain takes the raw, sharp feelings of the day and files off the edges. A problem that feels enormous at midnight often feels manageable in the morning. That's not a saying. That is your brain physically doing maintenance on how you feel. Take that away and everything feels raw. The sleep-deprived get anxious, paranoid, and quick to snap, which is exactly the arc Gardner wrote down. So already, sleep is doing far more than resting. It's filing your memories, and it's steadying your mind. For a long time, that felt like the whole answer. Sleep is the night shift, tidying up the mind, but this is the halfway point, and it's the perfect place to say one thing. If you're still here, we clearly have the same slightly odd hobby, lying awake wondering about the machinery in our own skulls. Subscribe, and I'll keep bringing you the strange stuff. Now back to the part where your brain washes itself. Here's a strange fact about your brain. It is the most active, most demanding organ you have, and it runs all day and all night. And like anything that runs that hard, it produces waste, molecular garbage, junk proteins that build up between the cells, hour after hour, all day long. The rest of your body has a cleaning crew for this. It's called the lymphatic system, a network of pipes that flushes waste away. But your brain doesn't have those pipes. So for a century, we just assumed it cleaned itself some quiet, boring way, and we moved on. Then in 2013, a researcher named Maiken Nedergaard and her team looked closer, and what they reported was genuinely bizarre. They said that when a mouse fell into deep sleep, its brain cells appeared to physically shrink, and the space between them opened up. In their measurements, that gap grew by roughly 60%, and into that new space, fluid came rushing through, washing the day's molecular garbage out of the brain. They called it the lymphatic system, the brain's own overnight cleaning crew. And in their study, it ran up to about 10 times more actively during sleep than while awake. And suddenly, everything clicked into a terrifying new shape. If this is right, sleep isn't a luxury. It's a wash cycle your brain cannot skip. Stay awake too long, and the garbage keeps piling up with nothing coming to clear it. Some of that garbage includes the very proteins that clump up in diseases like Alzheimer's, which is why researchers got so excited and why you've probably heard sleep cleans your brain everywhere since. It is a beautiful, tidy answer. You disappear at night so your brain can take out the trash. And now I have to keep a promise I made you at the start, because this is the part the scientists genuinely fight about. Here's the honest picture. In 2026, the 2013 discovery was real, and it was a huge deal. And a lot of evidence supports the basic idea that fluid moves through the sleeping brain. But then other labs tried to measure it, and some of them got the opposite result. In one study in 2024, researchers reported that the brain seemed to clear less waste during sleep, not more. The exact reverse of the headline. So the fight is live, right now. Does the brain really clean itself mostly at night? How much? And is sleep the reason, or just along for the ride? I'm not going to pretend I've settled it for you, because nobody has. That's not me dodging. That is genuinely where the science is. And here's the strange comfort in that. It means you are watching a real mystery, still open, right now, about a thing you'll do again in a few hours. We found a door in 2013. We are still arguing about what's behind it. But whether the brain washes itself once a night or all day long, one thing is not in doubt. Take sleep away completely, and the mind falls apart, exactly the way Randy Gardner's did. So we're finally ready to answer it. The question you clicked on, where do you actually go? So, tonight, you close your eyes, and now you know what really happens. You don't travel anywhere. There is no place your soul flies off to. The truth is stranger than a journey, because across the night, the you that clicked off the lamp is taken apart. First, your grip on the outside world is cut. The doors lock, the spindles fire, and the room stops reaching you. Then your body is switched off and tied down, so it can't chase the dream. Then the part of you that keeps a running story of who you are, the narrator in your head, quietly goes offline. The self-model powers down, and the part that records your life into memory barely writes anything down at all, which is why there's a gap. Not because nothing happened, because nobody was home to file it. So where does the you go? Nowhere. The you stops being assembled. For hours, there is a body in a bed, breathing, dreaming, filing, cleaning. But the single unified person you think of as me is simply not running. It has been broken down into parts, each doing its own job in the dark. And then, every single morning, the most casually miraculous thing you'll ever do happens without you noticing. The parts come back online, one by one. The narrator wakes up mid-sentence, grabs yesterday's memories, and picks up the story of who you are. And it hands it all back to you so smoothly that you would swear you were there the whole time. You are not the same continuous person who laid down last night. You are a version, rebuilt this morning from the pieces. And you've been doing it your whole life, every night, so seamlessly that you have never once seen the seams. That's loop one, closed. And the reason your brain insists on doing this, taking you apart and rebuilding you every night for your whole life, part of it we know. It's filing your memories and steadying your mind. The things that broke in Gardner when he refused. And part of it, the newest part, the leading idea that your brain is quietly washing itself so it doesn't slowly poison itself. We only glimpsed it 13 years ago, and we are still, right now, arguing about whether it's true. That's loop 3. And it doesn't close. It's still open. On purpose. Because that's the truth. So here's where I leave you. You spend a third of your life vanishing. You paralyze yourself. Hallucinate a world. Take your own mind apart and put it back together before breakfast. It is the strangest, most important thing you will do all day. And you'll do it tonight, thinking it's nothing. So tonight, when you disappear again, and you will, at least now you know it isn't nothing. And that even now, with all our machines and all our clever people, nobody can fully tell you where you went. If this rewired how you think about tonight even a little, do me a favor and hit like. It's free. It costs you nothing. and it's the closest thing I get to knowing someone was awake out there. And if you want the next strange thing I dug up, this one's about how ancient humans managed to keep their kids alive when the whole world was trying to kill them. The thumbnail's right there. But that's a mystery for another night. This one goes in the file, right between things you do every day and things nobody can explain. Sleep well, if you can find your way back.